Okay, fellow YouTubers and animators, it's time for another vlog. So I hope to take you through my process in this vlog so that you can see what it takes to make one of my animations. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, and share. So let's go ahead and jump right in. As you can see, I already have a pretty simple sketch, right? As kind of as a map to what I wanted to do for this particular project. So you probably see me creating lines with the line tool. So this idea came about as a kind of a living comic idea, right? So I have the character there. I don't know if you could see that there, but in the upper left-hand side, we have the character's face. On some of the other panels, I hope you guys can make out what looks like to be some cars, a motorcycle, and things like that. And so it's just the basic map, right? So the idea was to bring a comic book and its panels to life, and you're gonna see that throughout this video. So I hope that you guys enjoy. You'll probably see me making some changes, editing things real quickly. So here we are, off to the races. Initially, I didn't like the color that I chose for the panels themselves. It was like a darker wine or a burgundy, so I decided to use some of the color adjust tools in TV Paint, which they're amazing. So I don't have to worry about color too much, or shifting or adjusting or erasing color that much when the TV Paint can assist me with that. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's always a good method of having a color palette at the beginning of these things. But in this particular case, some things will be edited. So I didn't like the red, so I decided to make it a brighter red and add some glow to it as a part of the look that I was going for. Now, back to the subject of color. You guys see my character already mocked up and painted a little bit. I created this one in Autodesk, but the thing about this one is I really didn't care too much for her look, meaning the colors look a little bit too gray. She looks a little bit dead even. So going back to the color adjust tools of TV Paint, you guys will see me make some adjustments, and I think they were merited. At the end of those adjustments, I think all of you guys more than likely will agree that she looks better, and I like the color palette on her better. So let's proceed. So here you see me drawing a little bit using the Bezier Curve tool, which is a great tool for curves. You can do them freehand too, but it really is up to you the way you choose to work. Animation does require hundreds of drawings, so sometimes as I get deeper into my process, I'll use this tool since I don't want my lines to look like they're a little bit on the shaky side. Or if you're going for a more hand-drawn look, you can do that as well. The cool thing about TV Paint is that it has powerful tools that allows you to adjust different things. The perfect example will be this part here. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to lines, and I know that you can always edit these things in TV Paint. So with the selection tool, I'm shifting around her chin a little bit to my satisfaction and using the perspective tools to fix that. And there you go. Even in nature, when you look at faces and eyes, some of them are offset a little bit. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to lines. Obviously, I do appreciate good symmetry, and I do want to make things look like they're in perspective. But even in nature, you see that sometimes people's eyes are offset and everything like that. So as a matter of fact, 2D animation is just the representation of nature in 2D form. Does that make sense? Hope you guys got that. But anyways, here we go, continuing along, painting. So the amazing thing about 2D animation is that, yes, so we're essentially just duplicating what naturally happens in nature on a 2D surface and making it look 3D. Now you'll see me doing multiple things here. I know some of you might say, well, why didn't you start with line art, or don't you prefer to do the animation in the line art? You could work that way too, and sometimes I will work that way too, but in this particular animation, I'm animating, I'm painting, I'm adding effects, I'm doing a lot all at once. That's just my personal preference. I can keep track of all the different channels that I'm adding, so I'm quite comfortable with that. But if at some point it becomes a little bit too overwhelming, or you feel like this is too much, I can't keep up with all of these channels being open, it's okay. You could do it that way too. I just sometimes prefer to work this way, doing multiple tasks at once. and separating everything, of course. I have my line art on a different channel, as well as my colors on a different channel. I also separate the things that I want to add effects to on a different channel because say you want to make a change to a particular effect, which you'll see in a moment, and I'll get into some detail about that so you guys could see what I'm talking about. Animating her eyes, moving them a little bit to the left, closing them. I didn't want her just to be static on a motorcycle ride, so this is all about creating life in your characters, so I like to add as much as I can and I feel comfortable with. Eventually you'll even see that the front part of the motorcycle there is vibrating a little bit. And there you go. I think you guys will agree that this kind of like pinker, more red color is better than the grayer color I had earlier. And by the time I'm done, I think she's going to look really cool. I'm coloring in the helmet. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier when I said if you wanted to change something, you don't want it to be on the same drawing or on the same channel. So as a matter of fact, the gray of the helmet is on a different channel, as so is the line art, and so is this effect, these kind of red kind of demon eyes on the helmet. Of course, I decided to separate it because if I'm adding glow or I'm adding bloom, and say, for example, it were on the same channel as the gray of the helmet, then the gray on the helmet is also going to be impacted. You'll see the outer lines of the gray will glow red, or if you're doing bloom to that area, then the gray will become washed out and will get light. And that's why separating channels is always important. So here we go. So now I'm adding these lights above her. I decided to, well, it's nighttime as you guys can see, but I'm just alternating some of these lines to give that effect. I don't know if you guys have ever looked out at the dark, and sometimes it looks like when there's not a lot of light, it just looks like static looking into the dark. So that's what I was going for with those alternating lines. I think it came out nice. And now I'm adding lights and some effects as well. Some blur, turning off some of the channels so that I can better take a look at that effect, and calculating the timing. There you go. You guys see me adding some blur there. Also turning on the light table to show me the position of the previous drawing and the next position. As you can see, I've already done a lot of work on this project. There's a lot of drawings. I'm moving on to the motorcycle. Like to use the Bezier tool. I like to use these tools also for inanimate objects. They just make them look, really clean. And as I start getting tired or fatigued sometimes, during this process, I'll use these tools so that my lines will start to look a little bit wobbly. Now you're about to see here another instance of separating things, right? I decided to separate the bike itself and also the tires, as I'll be creating an effect on the tires themselves. So if I need to erase something or just specifically deal with the tires themselves, I don't want them to affect what's going on with the motorcycle also. But some planning in advance is always important. Pretty much just thinking about where it is that you want to add your effects and on what. So you'll see me moving things around here, animating the motion of the bike, using squash and stretch, some of the 12 principles of animation here. As the bike speeds through, it's stretched more. As it kind of comes to a stop, it's squashed more. And you'll notice that as I get closer to the screen, I'm pretty much adding a little bit of a change in perspective to give you that look that there's some tilt on the motorcycle. I also drew a little bit of tilt on the motorcycle just to make it look like it is tilting this way. Otherwise, it just doesn't look right. Now, again, more on the separation of channels. I don't know if you guys can probably see that here, but that red, I'm actually painting that on a separate channel. And that has to do with the fact that I don't want the colors on the motorcycle being affected later. So what I'm doing here is just putting red, and I'll add some bloom and some glow. There you go, voila, it'll stand alone. Continuing to make adjustments to the bike. There we go. So now that's starting to feel pretty good. Adding the character. Now you could see that I'm adding some toon shading here. I think it makes it look pretty cool. Almost makes the bike, the gray of the bike, look a little more smoky. You can see there's like a shadow underneath it. I'm just adjusting the character so that she's in proper position. You'll notice on the final animation, I actually make her blink. She closes her eyes also, and she moves her hand for the throttle. Now I'm working on the freeway itself. I used the bloom to get that effect. I don't know if you guys notice on that back, like a thick line. It actually looks like it's a little bit brighter in the middle and darker towards the edges, just to create more depth. And you could do that with lighting, with color, positioning of objects. After all, we're working on a flat surface. It's just a piece of paper, I guess, if you want to interpret it that way. And we're moving our drawings so that they give the illusion of being in a three-dimensional space. Adding some freeway line markers. Later on in a moment, you guys are going to see the city, the sign. Some blue lights on the barrier. So there is a ton of stuff that I added here that normally, if you guys just look at the video, you guys probably would take for granted. But yes, a lot of work went into this animation, but it was totally worth it. So as far as the city is concerned, I used the keyframer to move it into a certain position and then just looped it again. I don't know if you guys feel me on this. I remember we had a toy when I was a kid. There was looked like a little television that you would wind up, and it's on a drum, and it basically it takes you through a scene to a certain point, and the scene starts all over again. So if you guys can picture that, that's kind of like the thing that I was going for. And so the city will keep looping. But I think it came out pretty smooth. And thank God TV Paint helps calculate all of these things, so I think it did its job. Moving pretty quickly through the city. Eventually I'll have to erase some of these parts, especially the ones on the left side that are covering a panel that's going to be a completely different thing. I also shifted some things below certain channels, so they appear behind the channel and you can't see them, while other things are on top, other drawings. Now here you see me creating a stamp. I'm stamping away with the same little yellow square I created so that I don't have to do it every single time or repeat the same thing every single time, trying to get the same size square perfectly. Instead, I created a sticker and I'm just stamping away, as the creation of cities takes a long time. And I did the same thing with these lights that I'm going to be putting on top of the bridge. You can see me adding some bloom, some glow. Okay, then we have our top panel, our character lasering through the panels to get to the other side. Looks like perhaps maybe she's even on some other freeway or a tunnel. And I think that's pretty much it. So now I'm just taking you through each different channel. I turned them off and I'm turning each individual channel on so that you could see all the drawings, all of the work that went into this project. I know it looks like a ton. It was a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that's enough talking for me today. Like I said, please remember to subscribe, like, follow, and share. And I hope you guys enjoyed this project. With that, I'm out.